The Enigma of Prince, from child prodigy to opioid tragedy, music legend revealed. On April 21st, 2016, there was a single headline over all the televisions and internet sources around the world. The Prince, 57, died of an opioid overdose. The news was enough to startle Prince's fandom and everyone who knew him by his avant-garde music. His death sparked an international outpouring of grief, alongside the speculations revolving around the real cause of his death. Known to the world for his revolutionary music, he became famous for his super hit songs, which were released one after another and became the word of every mouth. The lyrical beauty and the extravagant delivery made The Artist popular among youngsters and music lovers of all ages. It was beyond anyone's imagination that The Artist, selling over 100 million copies of his songs, could one day breathe his last in such a tragic way. Climbing the stairs of success with his super hit When Doves Cry, The Artist left his fans shocked by his unexpected demise, leaving many questions behind. The multi-instrumentalist's death was though shrouded in a mystery, but the investigations called it a devastating consequence of opioid addiction. Who was the Purple Rain star Prince? How has he had a star in himself since childhood? What made his death enigmatic with several unrevealed speculations? We're going to answer these questions later in this video. But first, let us have an intimate look into the life of Prince, a born artist and a child prodigy whose life mercilessly made him an opioid victim. Prince's death became one of the most widely discussed topics in the media, and everyone started speculating about the actual factor causing his death. Few blamed the negligence of his medical consultants. Few called it a planned murder as he had a strange form of medicines, and others called it depression, which made the musician take an overdose of the addictive drug. Born in Minneapolis in June 1958, Prince Rogers Nelson was named by his parents. It would not be a brag to call him a born artist, as his mother and father were jazz singers and pianists who used to play in the jazz group Prince Rogers Trio. Prince's father named him after his stage name, Prince Rogers, hoping that one day his son would be able to do what he could not do and achieve what he could never achieve as an artist. But his goodness, the divorce of his parents eventually gave him a life of several roundabouts, and he spent a part of his life moving between his parents' homes. Family deprivations could not demolish the singing and writing talent that was running in his blood. He wrote his first song at the very young age of 8. Prince, widely known as a child prodigy, was a legendary musician who reigned the kingdom of music for years. After several bumpy rides of failure and success, Prince finally joined Warner Brothers, which further groomed his talent as a musician. The young artist at 19 released his first album, For You, followed by a series of records that were released one after another. His songs depicted denying any sexual taboos, which later also sparked several controversies. He made his own band, The Revolution, and nicknamed himself the artist formerly known as Prince, or TAFCAP. Prince's talent was not limited to singing, and to your surprise, he wrote and composed most of the tracks himself. He came into the limelight when he was reported to be adeptly playing several musical instruments and introducing quite erotic music tastes. The cherry on the cake is that his music revolved around various styles including funk, R&B, rock, new wave, soul, synth pop, jazz, blues, and hip hop. The success kissed his feet, and he became one of the most successful musicians of his time. He sold over 100 million records worldwide and won several awards, including the Grammy President's Merit Award, the Billboard Icon Award, an Academy Award, and a Golden Globe Award. Released in 1984, the track was one of the most hit tracks, ruling Billboard's top 200 song list for 24 consecutive weeks. It was one of the songs from the movie Purple Rain and became a striking song of its time. Its romanticizing and deep lyrics mourned loss and remembrance, and the song soon became the voice of restless hearts. So, peeps, you might be wondering what this catchy title means, and when asked about the meaning of Purple Rain, Prince described it as, when there's blood in the sky, red and blue equals purple. Purple rain pertains to the end of the world being with the one you love and letting your faith or God guide you through the purple rain. Man, isn't that deep? Besides Purple Rain, another track, When Doves Cry, was released in the same movie. It was based on a love affair and eventual breakup. The lyrics expressed the feelings of two lovers who were mourning the end of their relationship. The song starts with happy scenes that become melancholic when the lovers get apart. To manage the chronic pain and stage fatigue, the iconic artist used to take painkillers. Physicians believed that his body became immune to weaker doses, so he started taking more pills, which eventually led to drug addiction. This, in effect, deteriorated his health and caused a strong dependence on the drugs. For his chronic pain, Prince consulted a family medicine specialist, Michael Schulenberg, on April 7, 2016 and April 20, 2016. Meanwhile, he also postponed his performances at the Fox Theater, and the venue released an apology stating that the artist had influenza. However, he girded his loins and managed to perform on April 14th despite his illness. This was Prince's last performance. After this, his life wreaked havoc, and his health started to deteriorate. After the show, he flew back to the Twin Cities in his private jet. Soon, the airport officials started receiving intimations of an emergency landing. The Prince became unconscious and unresponsive. The pilot landed the jet at Quad Cities International Airport in Illinois and informed the concerned authorities regarding Prince's medical emergency. He was shifted to a hospital, and doctors identified it as an opioid overdose. Antidote naloxone was given to block the effects of the medication, and after a few hours, he regained his conscious state. Despite doctors' advice for bed rest at the hospital, Prince left the hospital, and the very next day, he was seen cycling in his hometown. On April 20th, 2016, one of Prince's managers sought medical help from Howard Kornfeld, who was known for addiction medications and pain management. The appointment was scheduled for April 22nd. However, on the fortunate day of April 21st, the Carver County Sheriff received a call for an emergency. The caller requested to send an ambulance to Prince's residence at Paisley Park. The caller first told the sheriff that there was an unidentified person in the elevator who was unresponsive, but after a few seconds, he declared that he seemed dead. The caller was Andrew Kornfeld, who had flown to Prince as sent by his father, Dr. Kornfeld, on a life-saving mission as the doctor could not come on the last-minute call. Mr. Andrew had buprenorphine in his backpack, which is used to help people get rid of opioid addiction. He came to discuss the treatment plan for Prince and had to hand over the medicine to a local physician, as it can only be prescribed by a certified doctor. The emergency staff, however, reached the elevator and performed CPR, but one of them declared that he had already been dead for the last 6 hours. A detailed examination was made, and after 19 minutes of their arrival, Prince was officially declared dead. The news startled everyone, and a series of investigations started. Initial investigations revealed that there were no sign of suicide or foul play. The Midwest Medical Examiner, in his press release, declared that Prince had died of an accidental overdose of fentanyl, which is several times more potent than heroin. Further investigations revealed that fentanyl was the generic version of hydrocodone or paracetamol. His prosecutor admitted that it was fake Vicodin laced with fentanyl, but the fact was not enough to know the actual cause of his death. It became a challenge for investigative bodies to determine what source had given Prince the drug. Following the investigations, a sealed search warrant for his estate and the pharmacy from where he took the drug. The CCTV camera footage of a few hours before his death showed Prince, who was walking in a black dress, in a lean state. He took the elevator to his apartment, but would never come out alive. The people who knew him closely mentioned the fact that he wanted to get rid of his opioid addiction, so he had planned to start the treatment plan soon. The multi-investigation body found the opioid pills scattered all over his bedroom and blankets. Carver County attorney Mr. Metz revealed that Prince was suffering from chronic pain and he thought that he was taking Vicodin, but he had no idea that he was taking counterfeit medications coated with fentanyl, which would kill him. Prince has a strong affinity for purple, which is shown in his music, fashion, and persona. Prince reportedly used this color to continue the legacy of his father, who had purple instruments, and hence, the color became a depiction of his spiritual depth and individuality. Upon his death, numerous musicians and artists mourned him. President Obama showed his grief at Prince's death, and the US Senate passed a resolution admiring his lifelong achievement. Tributes and vigils were held all over the world, and places in the US colored everything in purple to mourn his death. TV channels in cities in the US played Purple Rain all day and night, and people sang the song as a tribute to him. The Prince's death, despite being an enigma, has also given rise to several heir-related issues. The only sibling, Tika Nelson, filed a probate case and stated that no will had been found. Prince was married 2 times, which culminated in divorce, and as a play of fate, he had no living children. Moreover, he never married again and has not fathered anyone. According to Minnesota law, the absence of a will meant that the legend's property, costing millions in cash in real estate, stocks, and cars, would be distributed among his sister Tika and 5 other half-siblings. To one's surprise, within a few days after his death, more than 700 people claimed to be his half-siblings and descendants. Another debate was started about who would be the heir to the dollar estate of the prince. However, DNA profiling was done, and eventually, in 2019, the court recognized Tika as Prince's full sister and his 5 half-siblings. 2 years after the tragic death of Prince, the Minnesota authorities released their findings and mentioned that no criminal charges were filed against anyone. The death was a natural cause that resulted due to an overdose of the counterfeit medicine. After several years of his death, the music industry could not fill the space he left. His death ended the Purple Era, but his legacy still radiates in eternity. Releasing 39 albums in his short life, his vault is still filled with hundreds of unpublished songs, which still speak the unmatchable talent of Purple Majesty, a pinnacle of creativity. Alright, that's all for this one, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, or drop a comment and let us know your thoughts. I'll see you in the next video.